Today we departed from the beautiful Bacalar Lagoon. Allie and I were ready to start the trek back to the United States, but our travel buddies, Ferris and Lisa, had a different idea. After some deliberation in a beautiful setting, we decided to join them for a trip to Belize. Central America, in a van, here we come. Bacalar is only about 20 minutes from the border, so we just could not resist. First thing we had to do was gas up, because fuel, along with everything else in Belize that we found out, is very expensive. Border crossings as a family of 4 are usually a bit challenging. Getting all the paperwork, paying all the fees, and waiting in all the lines. The Mexico to Belize border cost us about $200 in fees and about 3 to 4 hours of our time.
Yo! We did it! We have gotten through all the paperwork madness, and we are finally able to cross into Belize. Official paperwork right here. Here we go with our insurance. That's how official Belize is. Check it out. This goes up on our windshield. This gets peeled. Bam! Now we are officially in Belize. Let's do it!
30 minutes after crossing the border, we came to a dead stop. We hopped out to see what the issue was. We were a little nervous because we were on a time crunch to make it to a horse camp for the night so we could get up early for the ferry.
Gotta do what we gotta do, right? Some yogurt, some dried cereal, some slushies from the street.
Waiting for a ferry.
Ferry coming up.
Once we stepped out, we realized we arrived at our first hand crank ferry. So we loaded Darla up. She looked so huge compared to these other cars and on this little ferry. Sure enough, they floated her right across. We could not let them do all the hard work by themselves, so Allie hopped out and started cranking.
Do you get tired? Do you get tired?
We've had some sketchy moments. This is by far the sketchiest one, and I don't have a ton of footage to overlay because I didn't see the situation coming. So I'm just going to talk about it and do what I can to tell the story. But we were in Belize, so we crossed the border. It's been a long day. It is night. The sun is setting. So there's the picture there. And we were pulling into the horse farm to camp, which is just a place we found on an overlander. We got in, and it was hot and buggy, and it was actually really expensive. So there was a guy who we met on the hand crank ferry earlier who seemed nice. He was an expat, spoke English. He was building a property on the beach about 4 clicks away, as he said, kilometers, and described it at this beautiful place. So he shows up to the horse farm as we're pulling in. He's like, "Oh, you can come stay at my place, like I said." And we looked at each other and said, "I guess so." Almost dark now, and then he mumbles something. "Oh, just my caretaker. He's not going to be happy about it, but he'll get over it." That was weird. Okay, so we go. He takes us there. It is a property on the beach. He is building a house, and then he sets us right in this picturesque area. As you can see, water. There's a breeze, less mosquitoes. We start making dinner, and about 50 yards away is his caretaker, who's got this kind of old garage scenario going on, and then he blasts the music to about volume 10. You can kind of hear it in this portion. Take a listen. It was a little weird. He said, "Oh, he'll be fine. You know, my caretaker will be fine. I'm going to head out. I stayed on the way." And we're like, "Oh, okay, this just got a little sketchy." He's over there and he doesn't seem happy, and the guy who owns the property just left. So he leaves, and we say, "Well, we got to break the ice with the caretaker over there." So Ferris walks over with a beer, try to break the bread, and I'm watching from afar / listening, and after a few really unpleasant words, he basically said, "I don't like people, I wish you weren't here, and it would be awesome if you left." In a very mean and derogatory way. So that freaked us out, and we're talking about shirtless guy, strong. Ferris comes back. I saw what went down, and we're like, we got to get out of here. So we jumped in the car. We're rolling out. We're speeding up to the gate. There's a lock on the gate. Luckily, it was just faux locked, so Ferris gets it open. We swing out, drive out the gate. I'm like, let's roll. Ferris comes ask me, should we shut the gate? I'm like, I think I see the guy coming up behind us through the dirt. So he jumps in his car and we tear out of there. We end up back at the horse farm.
Here we are at the horse cottage. The horse cottage. It seems to be run and owned by these two super nice French women who welcomed us in. We have felt nothing but safe and secure. But it is a horse ranch in the middle of Belize, so it's hot. There are a lot of mosquitoes, and it is very expensive. Since the Belize border was closed for 2 years, they're kind of making up for the money situation now, so it is doubled in price. It is $60 to stay here, the most that we've ever spent to stay the night. And then we are actually leaving our vans here for a few days while we go exploring, and it's $10 for her to have the vans here just unoccupied on her property. So it adds up quite a bit, but after the experience with Mr. D and his friend, we know the value. Safekeeping, peace of mind, it's worth it all the way.
After sleeping off our sketchy situation, we got up early at the horse farm. It was still hot, and it was still buggy. Might have been the most mosquitoes I've ever seen. A taxi driver who was local to this area picked us up right on time at 7 a.m. And then a little bit later, the boat showed up around 7:30 a.m. We hopped on for an hour and a half bumpy ride. We're on the water taxi. It's crowded. It's hot. Oh, we're excited because we're in Belize.
There's a ride. We made it. I can't believe we all fit on there.
I didn't make it.
I know you didn't make it. I definitely made it. It was not great. It was not awful, but it was long, an hour and a half in a little cabin. But we did it. You did it. Time to get going.
In the end, it was quite this travel experience. But we were here, in Belize. Even better, in San Pedro. Even better, about to make our way to Key Calker the next day on a boat tour. So stay tuned next week as we explore Belize, and more specifically, take a deeper dive into San Pedro and Key Calker.